Hi everyone, this is Scott Dudley from Funnel Fella Radio, and today I've got a special guest, Duane Zingale. Is that how you pronounce it right?
Zingale. You gotta give it as much Italian as you can.
Zingale, sorry.
No worries.
From all the way over in the US on the West Coast. So whereabouts are you? Los Angeles, is it?
No, I'm in Redding, California, north of Sacramento.
Ah, okay, cool. All right, so let's get straight into it. We'll jump into your background and how you first got into marketing and funnels in particular.
Yeah, my background, funny thing is my background is nonprofit and a bit of traveling the world. I like to say I was a nomad with a cause, and when that season ended, I had to ask myself, what good was I to the working world? I had a whole bunch of roles and had done many things, but it didn't translate easily. And on that job hunt, I landed a freelance client, just solving a whole bunch of problems because that was what I was good at. And he had an e-commerce company that was doing okay, and then a great idea for a membership site. And being the problem solver that I was, I just started reading books, came across the book Launch and Expert Secrets.
Ah, yes.
And I just said, hey, I just read these books. Can I have a go with your membership site? And he just said, show me the plan. I drew something up in a Lucid chart. Thank God we have Funalytics now. And I said, let's do this, this, and this, and just started writing copy from a copywriting course I had taken, and just had to go. And we went in a month back in 2016, went from January to the end of March over about a 6-week period. I did a very long launch. Went from 0 to 300 members. So it went from idea to, hey, that worked. And I discovered marketing and launch funnels, if you will. And then it kind of just cascaded from there. What else can we automate? How else can we campaign? And continued over the course of 2017, 18, and 19 to grow his membership site from that 300 up to about 1,200 members, a really nice monthly recurring revenue, and just fell in love with the art of marketing. So yeah, that's a little bit of kind of my background and how I fell into it. I didn't know what a freelancer was. I just kind of found somebody who had a problem, who didn't want to hire me, but was willing to contract me. And so I said yes, and just kind of solved a whole bunch of problems, automated a ton of his business until I automated so much of his business that we plateaued. And I like to say I became the automated asshole, as we were so well automated that we lost connection with the audience and really had no idea what people were really thinking. When you lose touch with your avatar, if you will, we really lost touch after a season and kind of had to backpedal and reclaim the connection. And so that's kind of what led me to the agency side and what I'm all about at my agency and kind of what I'm pursuing, especially as a world travel, go out there and create relationships guy. I really wanted to get back to that sense of deep relationship and even sales connections. So yeah, it's a bit of my background.
Okay. So when did you first start the agency? How long ago was that?
So as an agency, I began 2000, probably early 2019. I kind of was like, I'm going to do an agency. I kind of went, it's time to be done with the freelance idea. And it really just began mid last year when I picked up one of my first real consulting clients, where instead of selling myself as sort of, I'll do these tasks for you, kind of sold myself as a team, got a small contract. It was not much at the time compared to what I've gotten now, but it was really awesome. Just hired contractors, some friends in India and a friend stateside, and had to go with my agency actually under the name Legacy Catalyst. So I kind of under some friends of mine, they said, do a personal brand and then build an agency brand underneath of that. And you're familiar with that with Mikhail. He's constantly telling us to do that. And then kind of in the niche world, because I got so excited about creating connection again you know how Russell teaches, and it's just common practice. You're either one of three markets:
Yeah.
relationships, health, or wealth.
Yeah.
And I realized I can try marketing from a new angle, marketing from relationships, and of course, who needs that? Coaches, consultants, and for me, I have a strong connection to chiropractors, so it's kind of a side piece. And that, you know, when you have patients, you need to have that sense of connection. When you're trying to get coaching clients, you have that sense of connection. It's driven stronger by the relationship rather than the wealth building. And so I took that relational angle and really just kind of drove into it from there, and have been slowly but surely growing my own little movement.
Yeah. So coaches and consultants is your main niche, is it?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. So, all right, tell us a little bit about the listen funnel framework that I was reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the listen funnel framework, it was in many ways one part response to becoming the automated asshole, and just like automating the way relationship and deciding I want to pursue relationships, and what is the quintessential element of creating connection and excuse me, and creating a digital empathy. Well, the idea of listening and having a sense of bedside manner in your marketing will insert a relationship focused marketing in it. And of course, the listen idea is also an acronym, and so it was
Yeah, I
something
thought that might be.
I stumbled upon the idea of, like, I need a teaching mechanism that is my own framework. And it really is just the foundational elements with a spiced up flair for creating connection. Um, More so than just like, build relationship through your marketing, but truly creating a connection, because we are going for those one-on-one client connections with my clients.
Yeah.
And so it's the idea is to, of course, in the acronym, locate your audience, right? Simple, fundamental, but really using advertising and strong, what I like to say, return on influence content marketing, where you're driving that influence, driving that passion for your coaching and consulting process. And
Yeah.
then, of course, inviting them into a movement. And everybody wants to belong to something. And so an invitation into something more than just another PDF, but it's truly taking the angle from the big idea of inviting people into something more, stepping into that hero's journey, if you will. And of course, upon that invitation, one of my favorite things to do is survey that new connection to get to know them. It's not so much the idea of like, hey, here's your 10 long form questions. It's much more akin to Ryan Levesque's ask method, where
Yes.
you take an opportunity to actually ask a question, segment them into, kind of get to know, I can serve you this way, I can serve you this way, I can serve you this way. But also I like to use a lot of tools such as video ask and Typeform to actually try and get a response, because you want to get into that more texting relationship. At this point, you've made the invitation, you want them to use that resource you gave them. A lead magnet generally still works. How's that checklist going? Have you been able to get through step one? Are you getting results? Right, kind of building up towards that sense of getting from A to B. And of course, once they get to A to B, they're going to start to desire to hear more about what you have to say when you teach your expertise. And I really love the expert secrets, winning webinar, perfect webinar formula. It works great. It's a great way to teach. It's a great way to build a bridge of connection,
Yeah.
especially when you can end a live webinar with, hey, ask me questions, especially when you're like me and 10 people showing up is like, woo, I'm building my personal brand. And you can actually let all 10 people in the same Zoom room and have a discussion,
Yeah.
and go from your 45-minute teaching to a conversation.
Okay.
And of course, that conversation and teaching is meant to lead people to where I used to be before. We all think sales is sleazy, but when you can frame it from empowering people for the purchase, because when you frame it as being an empowering moment, especially as a coach and consultant, you're truly bringing something with the idea that this is going to transform some aspect of your life, and you're buying into it. You're literally giving of your own wealth, saying, I'm bought into this idea. I now have taken an empowering stance to believe what you have to say and take steps towards these actions that you believe will better my life. And so for me, that was a big mindset reframing of sales is one of the most incredible things we can do to build new relationships and help people move forward in life. And then I just absolutely love when you make that empowering moment, the end in listen, of course, comes full circle to nurturing your tribe's success, that community, your buyer's success, so they too become messengers of your movement. And that's kind of the big idea summed up, and why I called my podcast the Marketing Your Movement Show, because it really is when you listen and create that connection and create that sense of transformation, you create your own movement where everybody's excited and wants to be a part of your own marketing machine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's excellent. I love the way that you put it all together, and it all spells out the word listen. That's really clever.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun to pull together, and it really, I feel like it brings the fundamentals together.
Yeah.
So you do what's just right, always in a sequential order that's best practice,
Yeah.
with some spice and some flair that makes it unique.
Yeah. All right. So just talking a little bit about your agency, including yourself, how many team members do you have on your team?
So I have myself and my operations guy, 1, 2, my designer, project manager, 3, Grahesh, IT, 4, 5, 5. So there's 5 of us.
That's growing.
So I have to think. I'm growing, yeah. So I have to think through that, like who's on the team. So I've got 5 now, and I've got 1 more coming in, and then probably another in about another month. So we'll be 7 total, and growing and taking on more all the time. There's nothing like sink or swim. I have an entrepreneurial problem. I'm addicted to sinking and swimming, and that's why one of the guys I hired, I was like, I need systems. Bring systems into my life, or this will never scale.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in that season of, all right, I got to pick one client. I got to scale one system. I got to systematize it so my team can just execute day in and day out. And when that stabilizes, I can go back to the custom fun.
So with your role, is it just mainly talking to the customers and coming up with the strategy, or do you also do some of the hands-on work as well?
At this point, I do a lot of it. Yeah. So I am the marketing. I do the sales calls and connect with the prospects, and I do the onboarding. And then I am passing on the project management. And then I still kind of get my hands a little dirty, especially when it comes to the more sophisticated automations, such as quizzes. But more and more, I'm getting my hands off. It's a slow journey as I uh, let people into my brain without expecting them to know my brain.
Okay. So on top of the funnels, do you also offer traffic and optimization services as well?
I do, yeah. So traffic wise, I primarily focus on what I call the listen advertising method, which is 5 layers of advertising. Um, so I focus primarily on Facebook and Instagram, although I can do Google ads and LinkedIn, but uh, the results have been far better for me on Facebook and Instagram. And so we'll go through that primarily through advertising, but I do try and leverage their content marketing. So I'll coach them on content, but I don't do any, content social media production. So on the traffic side, it's pretty much advertising only, and then optimization. I absolutely love to step into that, because what's better than making a working funnel better and watching the numbers slowly but surely increase incrementally for that ongoing success, through some good A/B testing, through adding emails, through finding gaps, through the metrics, and then throwing in a little science and art together to create better funnels.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's pretty rare that a funnel will become a hit off the first go. So that's why usually you need to optimize
Yeah,
it and get it to work. So that's what,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's what most people don't really realize. But
Yeah. The amount of effort, it's too easy to go, well, that was fun, let's try a new funnel,
yeah,
when all the gold is waiting for you in that one you already put a lot of work into, but you're not quite sure how to make better. And that really is very, very true, especially, I know, even for types like me, shiny syndrome. We read about the new funnel. Russell Brunson puts up the, hey, I just tried this. So we see our favorite thought leader try a new market. I want to copy that.
Yeah.
When we forget, stick to the fundamentals, make it work, create enough margin so you can experiment with all these things.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about one of your most successful marketing campaigns and why you believe it performed so well. Is there one in particular that comes to mind?
That's a good question. One of my, I should say, favorite campaigns. It's not so much most successful, just favorite,
Okay.
mostly because it worked so well. Was a friend of mine, Mike Kim, who has a kind of a side project with a friend of his for nonprofit Christian missionaries. It's called what is it? Fundraising Freedom. So just helping them through that fundraising process. Having come from that world, I knew it very well, and I knew the pain very well. And so we just kind of met with them and decided to do, they wanted something evergreen so they kind of keep it growing and get out of the launch cycle.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's one I'm more proud of seeing, just from the history, the sense of connection. A good friend of mine put together a really simple evergreen webinar. It's just from invitation. Well, we started with a lead magnet that was working. So from a PDF lead magnet into a, hey, want to sign up for this webinar, get it on demand, and watching that. And of course the webinar, and then to the sales. So fairly simple, kind of followed the listen idea.
Yeah.
And was kind of a one-hit wonder in terms of seeing very good results, in that and this is every funnel builder's desire, it was a proven, validated, selling well product. So it was easy to grab a hold of, modify, piece together, and then start the advertising. And what was awesome is when we started running the lead magnet, I saw as high as 60% conversion rate, which was stupendous. Part of that success comes from the super focused niche. So it was a super, what do we say, blue ocean.
Yeah.
Extremely blue. It was nobody, I shouldn't say nobody. There are a lot of poorly written, outdated books that this crowd has, but they've never seen something new like this at this quality. So it was a really solid blue ocean. And then even from those leads, taking the lead magnets through ads, we were getting roughly $2 to $5 leads, just depending on the targeting.
Wow.
And out of that, yet another 25% would watch the webinar, and then they'd cycle into the offer. And we had a decent amount. It broke even right away, which was super encouraging, right? When you build a funnel and it breaks even within a few weeks of running ads, that made me feel extremely proud, especially early on into the game last year. It was like, I hope this works.
Yeah.
And knowing that feeling, like, can I replicate what I did for one client, and
I,
going into this agency idea, and having seen that happen, of course, the amount of confidence for me to now
yeah.
sell my services is much higher. Like, okay, I have numbers and it
Yeah.
works, and it's not a one-hit wonder. So that, and the joy is that can happen to any of us. So that's kind of one of my proudest funnel moments that really kind of helped me hit the ground running, get some really strong momentum, and step into this year when everything hit the fan,
Yeah.
with strong momentum,
Yeah.
that despite the fan getting hit, things have only gotten better for me, which has been an extreme blessing.
Excellent. That's great. All right. So, what are your favorite online tools and platforms that you use to run your business? I reckon I could guess a couple of these.
You could probably guess. One of them, we'll start with the ones you won't guess. I am a massive fan of ConvertKit.
Okay.
It is, especially for coaches and consultants. Coaches, in that world, you give them a tool like Active Campaign where they're wanting to engage with it and send emails. I love Active Campaign. That would be another one. Some of these more sophisticated, or even MailChimp, just confusion overload. Every time I give ConvertKit to partner with one of these clients and coaches and consultants, it's just an immediate like, aha, I see how it works. It's easy to use. It's easy to use. So that's one of my favorite email service providers that I love to work with, that really pieces a lot of the email automations together. And then another one that you would never guess, ClickFunnels. Who would have known? That being said, I'm also a massive fan of WordPress with Elementor and
Okay.
and cart flows. So the plugin Cartflow turns WooCommerce into a funnel system for WordPress. So that was something I recently discovered, and I was just in love, because the one thing and downfall I find about ClickFunnels is when I want to do a design thing, it just descends into custom code and all this stuff and needing a designer's help, when I can jump on Elementor on WordPress and make anything I can imagine happen, at least so it feels. And then just being able to throw the cart flows plugin on there, just, it felt so cool to make something happen with WooCommerce when, well, anybody who's tried to build a funnel with WooCommerce knows how it doesn't work. So it was kind of incredible to see a funnel work on WooCommerce. So those are some of my favorite tools. And then a new one I've just recently gotten into, you've probably seen a few in our mastermind group mention, is Go High Level. And that's been really interesting to look at, because it's like ClickFunnels got together with a CRM that works well. And all of a sudden you have funnels for services such as chiropractors and generally local services or one-to-one global services that need that CRM, and having it all built into one for your funnels and your CRM and your website and your membership has really been handy to help those clients kind of piece it all together and actually interact with their CRM system, see their funnel stats. And so it's been an extremely useful tool as an agency. And then I can go, oh, you don't want to pay $100 a month or $300 a month for ClickFunnels. I've got Go High Level in it, and they sell it to agencies to provide almost as a white label software. So that's kind of been my latest and greatest find that I'm starting to leverage and starting to see some success with.
Okay, I've never heard of that. So it's called Go High Level.
Yeah, Go High Level. It's specifically designed for agencies. So anybody on the show who's more in that agency position or wants to take that, it's the perfect way to kind of package software into your service.
Okay, interesting. I'll check that out. Okay, so moving on, what are one or two of the biggest and most common mistakes that you see clients making?
So I'll kind of go back to the core message that I see, and is the desire to automate too much relational tasks and not automating enough administrative tasks. And they get so focused on what we can automate these emails, we can automate these sales, and kind of almost going for the throat. And when you get so far into that automation and going right for the sale, which is even worse, and I've made this mistake, it really, I mean, talk about ruining a night out, right? The relationship can kind of get ruffled when you ask too soon. And so I find that people want to over automate a little too much and pull away from the texting and the engagement sometimes, in the name of we're going to make it work and I want to scale, and sometimes trying to scale too fast before stabilizing that relationship and sense of movement, where you have that small community who was ready to market your message if you'd lead the flock, so to speak.
Okay, cool. So what's the biggest challenge that you consistently have to face while running your agency?
Not just doing the work myself. I if you're familiar with Enneagram, I'm a 3 with a wing 2. And the wing 2 means I love to give of myself. It's why I fit so well in the nonprofit world.
Okay.
I love making my clients happy. And I'll get an email and go, oh, I'd love to make you happy. I'll jump in and I'll just make something happen outside of our contract just because they asked. Oh, I went and made this happen. Check it out. It's in ConvertKit and this here. It only took me an hour. Don't worry about it. So no fault but my own. I love to overgive of myself out of excitement when I should be delegating that to my team.
Yeah.
not going outside the scope of work. And so it's really easy for a lot of us to do, when it just, we want to make our clients happy. A happy client means they'll probably jump on a retainer if they're not already. um, the sense of addiction of like, oh, this will probably bring results, and when you're not stopping and thinking, is this going to be, what is the point of this, is
Mhm.
this going to strategically get results? And so that's kind of my biggest flaw, is a little bit of a people pleasing leaning that leads me to jump the gun and do too many things too fast. And then the other thing that I mentioned of a fault of my own is shiny object syndrome. I read a book, I hear about a new funnel, I want to take the course, I want to try the new funnel, and just having a go at something new rather than optimizing something good, which is an easy mistake for so many entrepreneurs to make, because
Yes.
we're new idea people.
Yeah, I tend to fall into that category a bit as well. It can be a real trap, can't it? You got to
Yeah.
discipline yourself sometimes. Yeah.
It's really hard not to discipline, and then
Yeah.
really like, oh man, I think that thing I read and this thing, and let's try and put it together. And then you try it on a new client, and they're like, oh yeah, and they're all bought in because you're super amped up and have no backing, but your charisma carries you forward. And then you got to figure it out. Uh, I've gotten myself into a position where I have my most expensive client, um, because of my two good ideas, that dug me down a long hole, and it's dragged on. Um, yeah, don't do that.
All right. So, with an eye towards the future, what are you currently curious about or researching right now regarding digital marketing?
I think for me, with an eye for the future right now, it's getting towards that human experience. It's why I really landed into the listen idea. I was at and have continued to push. I was at social media marketing world, and the common mantra that everybody was saying is the most human marketing wins.
Mm,
And so I see the trend moving a little bit away from automation and back towards old school sales relationship tactics built into new, I should say, sales strategy built into new relational tactics such as chatbots.
mm,
One of the coolest ones is video ask, and I would say probably the biggest trend that'll probably come is interactive, for the lack of a better term, something like interactive email that's not just text based. So interactive video, interactive audio, but in the same kind of form as email
yeah.
sequences, where it really pulls us in. I see Video Ask doing it. I have a friend who's using a video program called Interactor. And so really making these video sales letter sequences interactive, making the quiz funnel type ideas, making it with video where you're not just bucketing, oh, click the bubble. It's like, no, I'm actually creating connections. So I see a lot more of that human moments. And of course, the chat bots,
Mm,
um, kind of blend of chatbot launching to a conversation that gets real. So trying to leverage that question into conversation. So I see a lot more of that human interaction, especially in the space that I'm focused in with coaches and consultants, people really trying to build that sense of movement, not just selling product, but really selling their brain, selling their proximity, selling their coaching, selling their masterminds. It's going to lean more and more and more into that human experience.
yeah. Interesting. Okay. So, who are your marketing idols or the biggest influences on your career?
Um, So, starting with some of the big names, I look up deeply to Jeff Walker. After reading Launch, it
Yeah.
was kind of an eye-opening experience, and then experiencing multiple launches. Jeff Walker is really he's a fundamentals guy. He teaches, I mean, he must be 20 years into teaching the same fundamentals, the same strategy over and over and over. Just seeing that level of consistency and genius, seeing and having been to some of his events, seeing the movement of people who are so excited, so genuine. He really is just, I love the entrepreneurial authenticity and the crowd that he's drawn. Look up to him deeply. Russell Brunson. I mean, we are in this crowd. I absolutely appreciate his teaching. It's genius. He's an absolute genius. He makes sales fun. I know for some he's too salesy, but I absolutely enjoy it. Beyond that, I would say a fellow named Mike Kim, who's more of a mentor. He's definitely, I look up deeply to him. And then Ray Edwards. I learned copy because of Ray Edwards, and he was a big part of my journey of just like, just breaking from a lot of these bad ideas and old ways of thinking, such as sales is a bad thing and it's sleazy, and just opening up my eyes. So there's some of the idols that I continue to listen to their podcasts and follow everything that they're doing, and really glean a lot of good stuff from.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So just to finish off, where can people go to find out more about your products and or services?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is duanezingale.com. And I'm over on the Marketing Your Movement show if you want to jump on the podcast and get a hold of me. You can find me on all the social platforms, although I'm mostly on Instagram because it's actually still fun and not riddled with politics. And beyond that, I have all my services. Most of it is the funnel building services. It's all I sell at this point, and that's just through getting in touch with me. And if you're more curious about the Listen Funnel framework, you can find the framework overview at duanezingale.com/listen.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot for your time, Duane. That was really great. And I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thanks so much for your time, Scott. This was such an honor to be able to come and guest your show, and I will catch you later.
Okay. You're welcome. Thanks. Bye.